Today's lesson is on standard deviation. Standard deviation is not a difficult topic to find. It just takes a lot of steps. And what standard deviation is how far away from the mean the data is. So instead of just saying, oh, that point is far away, like we used to with outliers before we figured out how to determine truly what an outlier is, standard deviation sets up a standard for that so that we all say the same thing about each point and how far away it is from the mean. There are 5 things you need to find standard deviation. First, you need to find the mean. Then you have to figure out how far it deviates or how far away it is from the mean. Then you square that number. Then you find the mean of those squares, which is called the variance. And finally, we find the square root. Don't worry, we're going to go through this step by step. Here I have a set of data points. It's actually the height of a tiger. And I just added them up, divided by 10, and found the mean to be 72. That should be very basic, something you've been doing since elementary school. Now we have to find the deviation, and that's how far the data point is from the mean. So I just took the data points and subtracted 72 from them. Realistically, the order does not matter. You could have done 72 minus 66 so that you were always dealing with positive numbers, because in the next step we will get rid of all the negative numbers, so it won't matter if they were positive or negative. So again, I just subtracted 72 from each point in the data set, so I had to do this 10 times. Then we take those differences and we square them. So this is why it doesn't matter if it's positive or negative, because 6 squared or negative 6 squared is 36. Next, I took those differences, squared, and I added them together and divided by 10. And I got 12.6. And this is called the variance. This is how much the numbers on average vary from the mean. Then I took the square root of that, and I got 3 55/100ths, which is the standard deviation. So we'll get more into this, but what that really means is 3 55/100ths plus the mean, or 3 55/100ths minus the mean from the mean. That's 1 standard deviation. If we do it twice, that's 2 standard deviations, and so on. Here I have a summary of it. There you go. The first row is, again, the data points. The deviation is how far away from the mean they are. So again, I just subtracted each from 72. Then I squared the deviation points. Then I added them up and divided by 10 to find the variance. And then I took the square root of the variance to find the standard deviation. So here's a graph. So the line in the middle of the red represents the mean. And anything in the red is 1 standard deviation away. So if that line was 72, we add 3.55, that would be 75.55, or subtract it, which would be, subtract the 3.55 from 72, you'll get 68.45, and so the 68.45 would be a number right here, the 75.55 would be right here, so if you're in between those, you're 1 deviation away. Here it's further out, it's 2 deviations away, and then the blue represents 3 deviations away. We will go over this again in class. We can also find ways to use our graphing calculator to list functions to help us out with figuring out each set of these data points so that it will be easier to find the standard deviation.